Welcome to the Gratitude Show with me, Frederick Morba. The Gratitude Show is a part of the Join Me Thank America project, and the Join Me Thank America project is, of course, a stewardship international initiative. 25 years ago, 5 American Catholic nuns were slain during the Liberian civil crisis, and we are here to join Father Garry. Father Garry is the priest of St. Dominic Catholic Church. He has a fresh memory of the lives of these 5 American Catholic nuns, especially that of Sister Barbara. And he's going to be sharing with us his fresh memory, what he remember about the services, about the lives, about the sacrifices they made in this country and in the cause of humanity, what they went through. And we're going to be, it promises to be a very fascinating interview. Join us as we take on Father Garry. And we will also end this interview, of course, with his own services, his life story, what brought him to Liberia over the period of time, his experiences during the Civil War, and many other. You can't miss it. Join me as we take on Father Garry. Welcome to the Gratitude Show.
Thank you.
Father, the Gratitude Show is a part of the Join Me Thank America project. The Join Me Thank America project is a stewardship international initiative. So basically what we do on the Gratitude Show is that we go around communities all around the world, every corner of the world, in the super cities, in the most remote places of the world, following the generosity of the American people. The Americans, as a people, as a nation, when they get together, the U.S. government agencies and alike, what they do around the world for humanity. That's why we cover on the Gratitude Show. But also, we go into these very communities and collecting story of gratitude in response to what the Americans are doing around the world. Today we're here to talk to you about one of the 5 Catholic missionaries, the nuns, that were killed here in Liberia, unfortunately, 25 years ago in 1992. You were very close to one of them, Sister Barbara. First of all, Father, when did you come to Liberia?
I arrived in Liberia January 1973.
1973. And what was the first time you met Sister Barbara?
The same 73. We went from Southtown to Grand Cess, where she was working with the other sisters. She was running the clinic in Grand Cess.
And before we can get to the story surrounding the death of Sister Barbara, tell me, what kind of person was Sister Barbara? What kind of person, generally? How do you describe her character?
A very strong, determined person. I suppose any sister who worked in Vietnam before coming to Liberia knew what she was up to. So extremely hardworking, dedicated as a nurse, and also very religious as a sister. So he had determination, which would have been based on her personal faith in Jesus Christ.
Amazing. Father, when we look at you personally assessing the life of Sister Barbara, will you say it was because of the faith that God was so loving, that God was so compassionate about people, or it was out of her making, or her nature as a human being? What can we say about that?
Faith, yes, but she had a deep compassion and feeling for people.
So deep compassion. So first of all, there are a lot of people in Liberia now, especially we're talking about 25 years on since Sister Barbara life was lost in a rather sad situation. They are 25 years old, and even people older than that in this country, Liberia, who don't know practically anything. They've never heard about Sister Barbara and her services to this country. But even beyond Liberia, in Africa and the rest of the world, what story particularly will you want to tell about Sister Barbara so that people in Liberia and outside the world can know about the sister?
I have a number of stories I could share. February 1990, after prayer, morning prayer, she came to me and said, "Gary, I have to go home. I'm a nurse, I know what's wrong with me." And it was cancer.
Okay.
So I said, "I understand." So she went back to the States, and I believe she underwent chemotherapy, and I never thought I'd see her again. So I was really taken aback when July 1991, that she was on a ship with the other sisters coming from Freetown.
Okay.
I didn't expect that. So that's the determination to do something. And she loved people as a nurse and as a religious sister. So 2 months before she died in an ambush, she was crossing the road to try and help someone, and it was, but at any rate, 2 months before that happened, she said to me, the happiest Christmas she can remember was Christmas '91 in Clay, Bombay County.
Did she tell you anything that happened around that Christmas that you can recall?
She was talking about the Christmas presents that the 5 sisters were packing for the displaced people and the refugees, displaced from Monrovia and the refugees from Sierra Leone. So the sisters spent a whole week, I think, before Christmas, packing these parcels for the displaced people. And when they didn't want her to come this side because tension was high, but she being herself, she didn't worry too much about it, didn't show it at any rate. So she got permission to come across, but on the understanding she would not sleep in Clay, that she would go back that night. But when she arrived and we didn't expect anyone, there was no one on the road, she said, "Gary, I'm here." And so she took all the little parcels out of the back of the pickup and all that. And then they were distributed on Christmas Day to the poor people. But she said that Christmas. Oh, then she decided, well, I'm not going back now, I'm here, so I'm staying on for the Christmas Eve Mass. So she stayed overnight and then went back the next day. So that was a very good time for her.
Yeah. So, but that was during the war time, right? Because the war has started in Liberia in 1989.
Sure. Yeah, this was Christmas '91.
Christmas '91. So during the war was fighting with refugees, but she was passing Christmas gift and reaching out to people. That's
coming up the road when it was a danger to come up the road. It was considered a danger, but she drove herself.
Amazing. So, Father, you have a fresh memory of Sister Barbara even up to now, and you also serve in this country, preaching to people and working with the local communities, preaching, bringing them to the faith, and in various ways you're working with them. Gratitude in response to the life of these 5 Catholic sisters, especially for Sister Barbara. Though they are gone, but what would gratitude mean, especially for Liberians, especially for this country that they serve so well with distinction, with compassion and love? What would gratitude for their memory mean, both for Liberia, but also for the individuals that they serve?
I don't think people have forgotten them, the people that knew them.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure every time people drive from Diggsville through Barnesville and they see that cross by the side of the road, they remember them. So the sisters' memory is very, very strong, and like every year in the church there's usually a Mass in the cathedral on the 25th of October, as it will be. That's next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be the 23rd of October this year. So they are not forgotten, and you go into our clinic across there,
Yeah.
you will see a picture of Barbara in the clinic.
Okay.
And then a number of our schools in Monrovia and
Yeah.
clinics have been named after the sisters, so that we recall the generosity that they gave. You know? In coming to Liberia in the middle of '91,
Yeah.
when it was
yeah.
difficult, challenging. I mean, that's a deliberate decision they made in America. They had worked here before the war,
Yeah.
and they made a decision to come back in the middle of the war. And so they were very courageous. That courage is based on faith. And I've always found the people of Liberia grateful, you know, to those sisters. There's a lot of gratitude around it. And I know that when the news came of the sister's death,
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it. You know, the people came to me, they were crying, and it was very, very distressing, but there was real deep love for the sisters from ordinary people in Liberia.
Where were you particularly when you heard about the death of the sisters?
I was with Archbishop Michael Francis in his house. We left. We were displaced from Bomi County. We were in St. Mary's in Douala, and we stood the whole week of heavy fire and all that. And then we got out on the day after the other three sisters were killed, the Friday. The Saturday we managed to get out of St. Mary's, and we walked into the city with other people, and then I stayed at the bishop's house. So the bishop was monitoring the radio all the time to try and get news, you know, what was happening. So it was on the radio that we learned the news. And I think it was, first of all, I may be wrong, but I think it was from Abidjan that we got the first news. We were the Catholic mission there, or San Pedro, where we had a lot of our people, you know, displaced refugees. So it was the day, no, it was the following week, I'm sorry. It was the following Saturday.
Okay.
The sisters were killed two on the
Two,
Tuesday in the ambush,
yeah.
3 in the convent on the Friday.
Yeah.
It was the following Saturday, 8 days afterwards, when we got that terrible news, which was terrible for us anyway. In the morning.
I heard you say that it was terrible news, and of course it will be terrible. But I want you to elaborate, say a little bit more about the mood in where you were and the people around you when you heard about the death of these sisters, and especially people calling and people crying, like you said. What was the general mood around the people?
People were either crying or they were speechless. They were in a state of shock, including myself, almost disbelief. We didn't think that was going to happen. When it came to Barbara and Joel, you know, the car, well, that one we could somehow understand, but the killing of the three sisters in the convent, that was something that we couldn't even conceive would ever happen to religious nuns. You know. So it was shock, disbelief, you know, terrible. It was horror, and it took us a long time to come to terms with it.
Did you feel afraid for your own life?
No. I've had a gun put in my back before, so no. It just, I had almost a breakdown, you know. I was so distressed that this happened to them. I'm afraid of my life.
Well, Father, why wouldn't you be afraid? Because when you serve with people and you're so close to them, and when such a terrible thing happens to them, it's only normal to where you mourn them, you feel devastated, but as well as worried about the same situation that took them was still around. The fighting, you know, the killing, the destruction, the humiliation of all sorts was still around. It's only normal to be afraid that maybe this will happen to me. Did you think?
No, because from 1990, so many things happened in Clay and Bomi Hill, many things. And every time we seem to we were blessed. So everyone knows during that particular time we were in a dangerous situation. We were there to serve the people and service to the people. That's what the sisters were doing.
Service to the people. I've heard that, I have read that in so many places, especially when it comes to Sister Barbara. Service to the people. At some point she wouldn't even leave them. She left them, went a little bit, took a treatment, came right back because of service to the people. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing, Father. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gratitude Show. Father, you're welcome again.
Thank you.
Father, Sister Barbara will come frequently to visit you, walking through terrible checkpoints and in the midst of soldiers, rebel fighters. Did she share with you how she used to make her way through the terrible checkpoints?
Well, one day, you know, when I got in her car, I was surprised to see a packet of cigarettes there. And
cigarettes?
in his sister's car, you know.
Yeah.
Barbara, Benson Hedges, I think. And he said, oh, Gary, I had them ready. If I meet a troublesome soldier, I would flash a cigarette. And she smiled. And I, you know, myself, I was a soldier, so I understood it when I was a young man. So yeah, we used to smoke cigarettes in the army. So yeah, if you want to humour a soldier, that's the way to do it. Yeah. So she knew a bit of psychology.
That was so brilliant and intriguing. Tell me the story about the Good Friday in 1992. Anywhere around the Good Friday, you have a memory about that story?
Yes. It was the Wednesday before Easter, and Archbishop Francis asked Barbara to come and get me. And myself, I was too timid to go into Monrovia. I had no vehicle anyway, so she came around noontime, you know, and said, Gary, Bishop says you should come to the Mass in the evening in the cathedral. The blessing of the oils for Easter.
Yeah.
I said, have you got a pass? Oh, yeah, of course. I said, okay. I said, you can't come to Bommy Hill because the tension's too high there, but anyway, I'll go with you.
Okay. What was the pass? Pass, what did that mean at that time?
Well, to leave this area, to go into Monrovia, I required a pass from here.
Okay. That means this place was considered different territory, or? It
was the Greater Liberia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Part of Greater Liberia.
Yeah.
So we needed a pass to go into Monrovia.
Okay. Go on.
So, at any rate, we drove through the checkpoints and all that, and I enjoyed that evening, you know, in the cathedral, and afterwards I had some good food, so I thought, oh, nice prelude to Easter.
Yeah.
So the next morning, which we call Holy Thursday, the day before Good Friday, we went and bought some rice, we loaded it up, put it in the vehicle, and then we said goodbye to the last Ecomog checkpoint, the other side of the Pearl River, and we crossed. And we got to Dimare, stop! So, get everything down! So, Barbara was coming up for her 70th birthday, 69, so I did it myself. So I unloaded the rice.
Unloaded the rice all by
yourself. Ground, so you can see we've got no guns or anything like that. Yeah. And then now look, put it back. So then I put it back, and now go there. So we were put into this dark hut. But the commander said, Father has no pass, so he shouldn't have gone to Monrovia. So we were put inside the hut. And And Barbara started crying, very, very sad actually. And I just sat there with my head down, you know. And then I said, Barbara, you know, tomorrow's Good Friday, you know, so we offer this up for that. And we were just there silent. And then just like an angel, after a while a fighter came in. He said, Father, go, move out of here, quick, go. So we jumped into the vehicle
And left.
and drove at speed from Dimer, from Combac and reached Clay, you know. So I suppose our prayers were answered, and this fighter's heart was touched, you know, by our dilemma that we were in.
That's something that you saw often during the war. Fighters generally, they all suppose, or they all I perceive as wicked people. They all are killers. They all vandalize and destroy property and stuff like that. And did you see compassion coming out of some of them during the war at all?
Much compassion.
Do you care to add another one in addition to the one who came to the car and
nothing to
said,
do with the sisters.
yeah,
The experience I had. In 2002, in May, June, when the rebels took me from here, from Bomi, and we were walking from Fassama through the forest, and I collapsed. And I remember telling Zena and Matthew, my nurse and the assistant pastor, I said, I'm finished. I know my limitations. And then the 16 small bodyguards sat around, and I said, Father, we are here for you, which meant, you know, that they cared actually, that they were not just going to leave me in the bush to die. That was a personal experience I had.
when you think about that that experience and some of the one that you heard about, and then you consider the death of your friend, and, that's opposite side of the story. That's two extremes of people.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about human character diversity?
I may be wrong, but I really think people can be very inconsistent. I remember once asking an UNMIL major, what's the road like to Bomi?
Yeah.
And he said, one thing I can predict is the unpredictability
Of the road.
of the people looking
people.
after the road
Yeah.
at the checkpoint. So I've never forgotten that, actually. So, and then, fighters themselves are under tension.
Yeah.
They know what's going to happen the next day. So they can sometimes be very erratic and emotional. And then the thing I saw a lot was, the drug abuse. Young children being persuaded, coerced, encouraged to go onto drugs, to make them, they was, when they were walking through the forest up there, they were encouraged to smoke before they did their night patrols and things like that, you know. And so sometimes the children didn't act rationally. The biggest shock for me was in Clay when the rebels first moved there, and we were all put down there to the checkpoint and checked and all that kind of thing. And then there was one poor man left on the campus who actually, had small mental problems. And he used to come and visit me, and I'd give him food. And one little child soldier met him there and dragged him down to the checkpoint. And he killed him in front of me and said, "You're the people that killed my ma and pa." And I was 11 or 12. The first time in my life I'd seen someone actually killed in front of me. And I felt very, very sorry for the poor man that was killed, but I also realized, how young children are also victims as well as these kind of conflicts all over the world.
Father, There were four other nuns.
Yeah.
Four other sisters.
Joe, Kathleen, Agnes, and Shirley.
What do you know about any of the four?
Agnes arrived just before the war, 87, 88, and she came to Clay. She was quite elderly at the time, and I used to take her out to some of the villages on pastoral work, and she was part of Sister Barbara's community. There was also another American sister called Sister Antoinette Cusano. She just died recently. They were a community in Clay, three of them. But then Agnes's health was, not so good for these terrible roads. So she then went into Monrovia to join the community in Garnersville.
Yeah.
And Kathleen, I think, was the newest. She came, I think, during the war.
I say they came with them 1991.
Yeah. Shirley had been in the country, I'm not sure how long. We knew each other, we met each other, but I did not know Shirley well. And her last job, as you know, she was Principal St. Patrick's. That was her last responsibility before the war. Joel had been in the country a long time. They've been down in Grancess, and I was in Bombay County. We were the opposite ends of the country. So when they came together, the working, obviously, the crew coast couldn't continue at that time because of the situation. So that's why they all went to live in Garnersville.
Since you lost your friend and the four others, did you hear any word directly from where they came from, the American community? Did you go back there, or did you send a message, or did you?
As I said, I was devastated by their deaths, and I didn't have any feeling, strange. I have no bad feeling against whoever did it. I haven't really, because that's war, and I can see the situation that some of these young fellows were put into. So that one, personally, I don't judge, So and that won't bring the sisters back to life anyway. So we have to forgive, Forgiveness is very, very important. And the sisters' deaths, to me, was a kind of a sign of all the people, that so many tens of thousands that died in Liberia. And right from 1990, we were carrying dead children from the mission in Clay across the road to bury them, we've had this all the way through, the tragedy of a civil conflict. So, but when I went to England after Octopus to compose myself, really, because everyone was coming to me, and myself, I was broken. I couldn't give them much pastoral care. So I went back to England for a few months. But I decided before I returned to my work here, I had to go to America. I never been to America before, and visit the 5 families, which I did, and also their community in Ruma.
Yeah.
And that was healing for me, actually. And then I could come back and tell all the people that love them, I've seen sisters, family, her relatives, and I've seen the community. So for me, it was very necessary for me to pick up my work again here, to see the families. And
what was the reaction of the family, and there are various families in America when you went there? What was their reaction, seeing you work with them? And you were not there when they got killed, but you were close by working the same kind of job they were doing, extending hands to the Liberian people, looking after them. What was the reaction of the family when they saw you?
It's so long ago now. That was a brief visit. I was there about a week or two, and it was very close to the time when October, say October 25th.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Easter 4 or 5 months later. It was still very fresh in their mind.
Yeah.
So we just sit there and console one another, you know. And so it was consoling and praying. But I never felt any anger. I did not feel that. But we were all the same. We were still in a state of shock. It was too close to their deaths for them to. They wanted to know more about the circumstances, you know, and I think they would have got that later by some of the people that were in the convent. You know, as you know, there were other people who were around at the time, you know, because I couldn't tell them exactly. And I know the American embassy and the Archdiocese, they tried their best to get the sisters out. I think that very morning, on that Friday morning, the American embassy in Ekimov they're trying to get the sisters from there, and then there was another increase in heavy firing, and they would come back in the evening, Ekimov, because it was too late. So they want to know more about the circumstances, which is understandable. Of course, I couldn't do that. But for me, anyway, personally, it was very, very consoling visiting the family, and I hope also they felt that way. But the religious order they belonged to, the Daughters of Precious Blood, they were very, very, gave a lot of, they affirmed the families a lot, and they were very, very caring of the families. I have to say that, really.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, we'll just take a break, short one, and when we come back, we will conclude on the sisters, and then we will also look a little bit about the work that you have been doing in Liberia over the last since '73, and a short break. We'll be right back. Back to the Gratitude Show.
Thank you.
Um, what more last thing can you say about Sister Barbara?
She was our mother. We were kind of younger priests and younger sisters, so she was the kind of chief of our community. And when there were little problems, challenges, disagreements, and that, she'd always be one to harmonize it. So she was a great reconciler, actually. And when it comes to nursing, she trained a very good nursing team, both in Grancess and in Clay. So when the war came and all our people were displaced here, her team carried on in the 12 displaced camps in Brewerville, and they saved a lot of lives, you know. She trained them well, and they used my car as a mobile. So for 6, 7, 8 years, you know, our car was going around the camps and helping thousands of displaced people. But she's the one that inspired us to do that.
Amazing. 25 years on this month in 1992. That's 25 years.
Yeah.
These sisters, and especially for Sister Barbara, care for a lot of people, thousands of them, through mobile clinics, through clinics, real clinics, stationary clinics,
Primary health care,
primary health care, and the sort. Do you still receive people? Some of these people who were sick, some of these people who were born under her care, some of these people who were served in various ways. Do you receive anybody coming to you to hear about Sister Barbara and about the story about her life?
Yeah, if you go into that clinic now, Moses, Flomo, Orpal, and Jane, they will tell you much about Barbara, and they treasure her memory. If you go up to this school, Charles Boymer, who was disabled, she took him from Quebec Fancy and physiotherapy and so forth. He's got his BSc degree and he's teaching in the school. So there are many people around. Some people have died, but many people still around.
Great. So, Father, let's talk a little bit about you. What motivated you to come to Liberia as a priest?
Nothing.
Nothing, Father? There has to be something.
I was learning Hausa,
Okay.
expecting to go to northern Nigeria. But then after the Biafran War, to get visas was a long process. And I really wanted to come to Africa,
Okay.
So someone said, we need to go to Liberia. So I got a map out of Africa,
Yeah.
and I looked at Libya. I went down, down, down. I reached Sierra and Liberia. Liberia is next to Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
When we were in school, we did a project on the Creole in Freetown. Yeah, Liberia is next door.
Okay.
So I arrived here on a temporary posting in assignment January 73, and it's still temporary. But the trouble is, Liberia is stuck to me like iron glue.
Okay.
Like this old chap.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I love the people. I love the country.
And when are you planning on going back?
Going back where? To England.
To England.
I have no plans. There's a piece of land near the church if they want to put me there, if it's God's will.
If it is God's will. Let's talk a little bit now about your encounter, your experiences during the war, and especially when the sisters died and everything you went through. Have you got to a point, Father, where you second guess yourself, like, why did I take on a mission like this?
The mission in Clay there was built just before the war, and I asked myself, really, why are we building this mission in Clay? I honestly asked that question because it was a really small community, and but God gave me the answer in June, July 1990, when it became a place of sanctuary for thousands and thousands of people. So we thank God that we were able to take care of probably tens of thousands of people during those years, because there and here in Bombay Hill. So sometimes I got scared. As I said, when Dominican sisters from Bombay Hill were leaving, I could have gone with them, but I decided that the one that established the church's presence on this side, I couldn't just leave, and also where so many displaced people who trusted us.
Yeah.
And if I had gone, I think I would have betrayed their trust. So that was, I went in the church and prayed about that afterwards. I was afraid when I had gone put my back in the middle of the night, September the 13th, 1991. In the middle, I was frightened, scared. In fact, they said they were going to kill me, and for some reason I wasn't killed. And it was afterwards it was terrifying. But we couldn't escape, nowhere to escape to. So we prayed about it and asked God to give us the strength to bear with it. So, and the displaced people supported me, encouraged me. Being in Liberia during those years, it wasn't just one way, my giving.
Yeah.
People gave me a lot. That's why I was able to stay. There were people who encouraged me when they saw me down. when they saw things going wrong. I escaped an ambush there near the Mahe Bridge. It was set for me. These kind of things, you know. It was because I had some very good people around me that I was able to put up with that. And then when I was taken from here in 2002, May the 11th, going through all that business, going through the forest with the rebels, and I asked myself in the bush, Lord, why am I here with these people? You know?
Yeah.
I was ordained a priest, and what am I doing here? You know? And so some of the questions, you know, why has God put me into that kind of a situation?
Yeah.
But so sometimes, yeah, and during that time, the three of us, Zena, the catechist, the pastor, Matthew, the assistant nurse, and myself, there was a stage during that time through the forest that we broke down, each of us. You know, it was too much, and we broke down crying. You know, and we went through that. And then I remember when I was in Manchester, in the north of England, I was escorting a Liberian priest to the bus station, bus stop.
Okay.
And he said to me, Gary, I'm very happy that you are not bitter. I said, I'm not bitter, not at all. I have no bitterness. And I just consider it a privilege to be with people at this time.
Amazing. When the Dominican sisters were leaving, you say you met them on the half of the way. What was your encounter with them? What did they tell you, and what was your response to them?
The plan was that some of the staff in Clay were going to come to Bommy Hill.
Okay.
And I agreed to that. But then I had to go down to the border. The fighters said they saw my car, so we traveled in this looted pickup, and we got down to the border, and it wasn't my car. In fact, I was very naive, because if it was my car, they would have taken it in one day at any rate.
Yeah.
I was naive then. Anyway, as we were driving back, then we saw the sisters' car, the only car left from the deanery, and they made some agreement, you know, to get out of the country. And so I jumped out of the rebel car, and I said, you know, Sister Garry, we're going across. Are you coming? And I just stopped there for a moment, and I said, I can't go now. The captain can't jump off his sinking ship. But I was really thinking of the people there on the mission. If I had gone, how would they feel afterwards, you know? I had the same temptation in across the bridge, in Man River Bridge. You know? We went to get food. People were starving. This was now, I think, sometime in '91, before MSF and that came in, the Lutheran World Service. People were hungry. We went across the bridge, and actually someone said they heard the commander saying, that guy is working with the CIA. And they couldn't understand why I would remain and to live with refugees. They couldn't understand that. Yeah. And we went across, and Caritas Freetown had sent 150 bags of rice. And so I went across, and I met the soldiers on the other side were friendly, but then I had to go to the customs house. I met this obnoxious police officer, and he said, you people feeding the rebels. I said, my friend, I'm feeding no rebels. I said, but people are dying on the mission. So for the 150 bags, I'll give you 5. And I went back to the checkpoint. I said, Zena, you don't have to bring the rebel truck across. We had to hire a rebel lorry to carry the rice to Clay, you know. So I said, they can leave it on that side of it. I said, all we need is a wheelbarrow. And I broke down crying, because I was thinking of the people here starving. And then Lieutenant Masterley, Sierra Leone army officer, came and said, Father, what happened? I explained it. So he then took the custom officer's paper and put a 0 after the 5 to make it 50. So we went back and we showed it. So they started loading 50. By this time, God had changed the heart of this policeman.
Yeah.
If you can take what you want. So obviously, by being patient, we had. So then we got about 130 bags on, and the tires were going down. You know, the rebels never maintained their vehicles well, and so they said, "Father, can't carry any more rice. So look at the tires." Okay, anyway, we got 130 bags. But then we got to the checkpoint. It was already after curfew.
Okay.
It was 8 o'clock, and the Sierra Leone checkpoint was locked at 6 or 7. So, and the guy at the checkpoint was not there, and the gate was locked. You know, we were in Sierra Leone, and the rebels were shouting, "Why our truck is on that sign?" They were cursing me, actually. So we had to go all around the town there, trying to find out where the two soldiers were who would lock the gate. So we found them, they opened it, and then we crossed. And then, of course, they were very rude to us on this side, you know, for wasting their time. And of course, so when I was on the other side, I was tempted to get out of the truck and stay there. But again, I thought of the people here. I cannot betray them. So we came back.
Sometime during the course of the war, you traveled with the rebels, the soldiers, through the bushes, and you ended up in Conakry. And what do you remember about that encounter? What is outstanding within your memory about the encounter?
Well, the strangest thing is, of course, 2002, as of May the 11th, which was the 30th anniversary to the day of my ordination as a priest. So usually you'd have a party or a celebration.
Yeah.
Couldn't even have communion that day, you know, because they took the town that morning. And it was not easy in the convent when they came to see us. Anyway, and then the field commander eventually made his way here, and he called Bonjima to say that I was still around. So the voice on the other end said, "Take good care of him." And
what did that mean?
Well, I asked myself whether that meant finish him off or take good care of him. So I was waiting myself to see what that meant, and the chairman says I should take good care of you. So I was still waiting to see what it was. Anyway, they took me down to the Red Cross building, and then we were there for 2 or 3 days, and then they decided they should get me out of the town. And then it was a counterattack that night, actually. So we were taken up to Fassima in a looted NGO pickup, and there were 16 boys in the back, and they were apparently guarding us. And then we got to Fassima, and I think at this stage, I suspect people in Britain were trying to find out where I was, whether foreign office or what. Anyway, I was called to the rebel radio in Fassima to identify myself. They wanted to know who the guy was that they had, you know. And so then the commander said, "You're able to walk?" Because at the end of the road, Fassima. And I said, "Yeah." But the walk was actually too much. These were young boys walking at this speed, you know.
Yeah.
So we left Fassima, slept in Kalata, and then I collapsed on the road between Kalata and Zulu, and I thought I was finished. And then these kids came and tried to encourage me to go on, and they had to put me in a hammock, which was very humiliating for me. And we eventually got to Salia, and then the second night, the people sent a pickup. The road was there, and they got me to the centre, and then I was taken across, from Bonjima, then from Bonjima I was taken to the centre, and then driven all night down to Conakry, and told that I was going to be handed over to the UN, but then I was called by the late president, Lassana Conte, and he asked me why I was in Bommy Hill. So I said, Your Excellency, my skin is no more important than the lepers and the blind. So then he called Bangura, Minister of President Affairs, and said they should take Father to a rest house. So with the assistant pastor Zena and the nurse, we were there until the Archbishop in Conakry found out where we were. He was searching for us for a few days, and then I think some Italian friend who was involved in projects for the government, he took the nuncio to the president, and so then we were free to go to the nunciature. So then Zena and Matthew were given asylum in Norway, and I went back to England to pray, and came back and carried on.
Well, let's first talk about the chair you're sitting in. What's the story surrounding this chair you have?
Well, it's the oldest chair on the mission. It's not very old, actually, but it's Father's chair. And it's almost a sin to sit on it if you're not Father. I'm very sentimental. Actually, when we came in, everything had been looted from the house. So the first container that came, there were 12 of these. This is the only survivor. The other 11 have walked. All right. So I keep this as a memento of when we came in and nothing in the place. So that's all.
Describe the relationship between you and this community, the people, the culture, and
very, very, very close together as people. And to this day, talk about gratitude, to this day, anywhere in Monrovia I go, people will come up and things I've forgotten, and they will say, Oh, Father, we're with you, thank you, and everything. So people in Liberia are very grateful, actually.
Father, this is about gratitude, like you rightly said, and I know people have given gratitude for the life of the sisters, your services, and that of the many others, be it faith-based services as well as other humanitarian services here in Liberia and all across the world. Stewardship International basically is about putting all of these voices on one single platform, as a one place where people can look to gratitude stories and also stories of people who offer their services and sacrifice for humanity. Especially this is the Join Me Thank America project. The work that you do here, the school, first of all, tell us, just aside from the church and the religious aspect, what other work you involved with the community?
Okay, so we are looking after Bommy, Cape Mount and Buffalo, 3 counties, right? So down in Cape Mount, Father George, one of my assistants, he spends 3 nights a week at the leper colony. He's there now, at Massity, Golokona. There are 70 patients there, and the church helps them a lot in different ways, right?
Yeah.
We'll just fix the rice mill, so the new country rice will be clean,
Okay.
and we have a cassava mill and the palm oil expeller,
Okay.
so trying to help them with their lives as well as treating their sores. And then up in the Bella district, so when the rebels took me through the Bella forest, I didn't realize it was part of our deanery, but it is actually. It's this side in the outside of Monrovia. So when I was leaving Fassima, one of the elders said, please, when you're back in Bournemouth, don't forget us. So I always remember that. So we brought a number of young people down from the Bella, and they lived here. Some of them are now, like James Nyakon that's here at the moment, he's teaching in school. James he's from Fassima, he's just got his degree, BSc, and we're hoping to go to medical college.
Yeah.
So what I noticed about the Bella when I went back after the war, that they really suffered in many respects. So I couldn't see one permanent building in the towns I visited, which was a school.
Yeah.
This is now in 2005 or 6, 7.
Yeah.
So we have built a school from kindergarten to grade 10 or 11, yes. And it's a community school. It was in Balabalama district headquarters, yeah. Right? And we gave the keys to the community, right? And another problem they have up there, because it really is the forest, you know. Yeah. The other problem is lack of medicine. So we ourselves purchased the medicine from places in Monrovia, so that only Fassama, to my knowledge, receives medicine. So Balabalama, district headquarters, Kalata and Tigli, small health posts, they are receiving, to my knowledge, nothing. So for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, we ourselves have been purchasing the medicine from our legal funds to support those clinics up there. Yeah? So, so as well as schools, there's a school in Bopalu. We built a school in the leper colony, which we've now handed over to the government. You know, and then one of the largest towns in Bombay County is a place called Gaia Hill. We have a good community there, and we started a school there, and fortunately now the county development fund has put up a nice school there to encourage them, you know.
And so all of this, do you receive other assistances from maybe the American government, be it the USAID program, the U.S. Embassy, and any other American project?
When this place was devastated by the war, right, USAID were the ones that actually helped us here, right, to get re-established, restarted, and we couldn't have done it without their help. So they fixed this whole campus up so that it would be a good environment for these newly disarmed children that come to school, and also people in displaced camps to come back, you know, because after the war it's hard for families to come and live in Bombay Hill because all the houses have been taken up by people that came down from other places. So we had a lot of people on this campus at the time. And so USAID helped us a lot.
Father,
and also the clinic, the United States military mission helped with the clinic.
The military mission. Father, it has really been a good time sitting with you, and my comment would be that we are glad for the services of the 5 sisters and all of the others, including you. On behalf of Stewardship International, this is what we do, and we want to say thank you to you, and we're grateful for the lives of these sisters and what they did here in Liberia and for humanity at large. And it is our hope, and we also pray that this world will be more generous as we tell the generous story of those, you know, who have sacrificed, those who have laid down their life to make this world a better place. And Father, my last word to you is thank you so much for accepting us. Thank you so much for sitting with us. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And please don't forget to pray for Stewardship International and the work we are out to do. Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Gratitude Show.